Tunisia is highly dependent on grain, as it imports 84% of its soft wheat, about 40% for durum wheat, and 50% for barley. The country's National Grain Office faces a shortage of storage capacity, which is limited to 3 months. The country's economy and planning minister said that the government is looking for new grain suppliers to guarantee its food security.
The
conflict in Ukraine started while Tunisia was in the midst of an economic crisis. The situation in the country is now very difficult. The crisis unit has managed to diversify the sources of grain and food import by looking for new suppliers. More than 50% of our grain needs come from Russia and Ukraine.
Samir Sayed added that the current crisis in Ukraine led to a sharp rise in oil prices. Tunisia will raise local fuel prices every month by no less than 3%. Consumers are expecting an increase of at least 30% by the end of 2022.
The ongoing conflict has led to unprecedented hikes in fuel prices on the international and local markets. The Tunisian government cannot find alternative or cheaper energy sources. We were forced to raise fuel prices because the energy deficit is huge. The state budget cannot sustain this shock. We need to speed up the gradual lifting of energy subsidies.
Players in the tourism industry have warned against the impact of the conflict in Ukraine on the crucial sector for 2022. Stakeholders fear that it is likely that Tunisia will not receive any Russian or Ukrainian tourists this season.
In 2019, Tunisia hosted over 630,000 Russian tourists and 30,000 Ukrainians. Several flights to Tunisia will be cancelled due to the crisis, and the number of Russian tourists will further drop in view of the rising travel costs. It is clear that the Russian-Ukrainian conflict will affect Tunisian tourism, but we will do our best to overcome this crisis.
According to the latest World Economic Outlook report released by the IMF, global growth is projected to slow from an estimated 6.1% in 2021 to 3.6% in 2022 and 2023. This decline is mainly due to the crisis in Ukraine. The government of Najla Bouden has set up a crisis unit to handle the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on Tunisia's food supply and energy sector. Analysts say the conflict is already having considerable economic and social consequences on the North African state.